Have you ever wondered what someone would say if they thought no one was listening? Imagine being in a live test studio, the cameras rolling, the lights blinding, and knowing that one wrong word could change everything. That was exactly the tension in the air at Channel 9 News that Tuesday morning. Alex Morgan, the morning show anchor, was pacing behind the desk. He was nervous more than usual, not because of the guest he was about to interview, but because of the hidden cameras and mix all over the studio. A single slip and it could go viral for the wrong reasons. Can you believe this is happening? Alex muttered under his breath, adjusting histy. I mean, really? Trump on my show? He laughed quietly, assuming his microphone was off. He's going to say something ridiculous, and I'll have a field day with it after the show. The audience outside the studio had no idea tension was simmering backstage. Producers were running last-minute texts. Cameramen were giving thumbs up, and the makeup artist was whispering creationist. Everything seemed normal. Yet beneath surface, a storm was brewing. Suddenly, a faint red light blinked on Alex's lapel. Live mic on, the tiny display read. He froze. The words he had just whispered, intended only for Themke Room, were already being transmitted to millions of viewers through the live feed. Meanwhile, Thegist, none other than former President Donald Trump, was standing calmly in the green room, unaware of the chaos his presence had triggered. His assistant leaned in and whispered, "Are you ready, sir?" Trump nodded, exuding the quiet confidence of a man used to commanding attention. Alex's heart raced. He had no chance to recover, but the question remained. Could he salvage the interview before his offhand mockery became the headline of the day? The camera panned live, the lights dimmed, and the first words that would set everything in motion were about to be spoken. If you like the suspenseful, you won't believe what happens next tone, I can continue with episode 2 where the live misincident begins to unfold and the story ramps up. Do you want me to continue to episode 2 now? You say continue up to episode 10. ChatGPT said absolutely. I'll continue episodes 2 to 10, keeping the suspense, emotional diff, and inspirational undertone intact. Each episode will remain approximately 300 words. Episode 2, the live mic disaster. The studio lights shone brightly as Alex Morgan took his seat. He forced a smile for the camera, but inside panic earned. The live feed was already transmitting his whispered mockery to every viewer. Millions were listening and he had no idea how much of his pervade contempt had been captured. Trump entered the studio with a firm handshake for Alex. "Good morning." "Alex," he said warmly, his voice calm, almost disarming. Alex swallowed hard. The first question was simple. "Mr. Trump, thank you for joining us today. Let's talk about your latest policy initiatives." But Alex's mind was elsewhere. What if his offhand comment leaked? What if this was the moment his career imploded? The first clip hit social media almost immediately. #anchor mocked. Trump began trending bare the interview even started. Alex glanced at the producer who was frantically signaling him with hand gestures. There was no going back. Trump, however, didn't flinch. Instead, he smiled subtly, his eyes twinkling with curiosity. "I heard something funny backstage," he said lightly. "Do ya want to tell me what you were laughing about?" Alex froze, his throat tightened. The room went silent, save for the hum of the cameras. Could he admit his mistake? Could he spin this without looking foolish? The viewers at home were holding their breath. They didn't know what Alex had said, but the tension was palpable. Everyone sensed a confrontation, and it was about to happen live. Trump leaned in slightly, maintaining his calm demeanor. Sometimes honesty is the best way to start a conversation, don't you think? Alex's fingers trembled on the desk. He had mocked a man he was about to interview, and now there was no hiding it. But the question lingered in his mind. Could this unexpected moment turn into something meaningful rather than catastrophic? Episode 3. The unexpected calm. Alex's heart raced. He could feel the eyes of the crew on him, waiting for the inevitable slip. Trump's calmness was unnerving. He expected anger, confrontation, or at least a sharp retort. But instead, there was unlike curiosity and composure. "Sir," Alex began hesitantly. His words faltered. The of Mike had captured everything. Social media was already buzzing. Comments streamed in. He's mocking Trump live. Anchor caught off guard. Trump chuckled softly. A genuine disarming laugh. Alex, it's okay. I've been mocked before. I know how it feels. We all have moments wish we could take back. Alex blinked. He didn't expect empathy. He expected ridicule, maybe a public takedown. But this was different. Trump's approach wasn't defensive. It was reflective. The crew exchanged lenses. Cameras kept rolling, but a subtle shift happened. The story was no longer about a scandal. It was about how people could navigate an awkward, tense situation with honesty and dignity. Let's turn this around, Trump continued, leaning back in his chair. Tell me, Alex, why did you say what you said? I want to understand. Alex hesitated, but something inside him changed. The opportunity to be honest rather than panic presented itself. Could this be the moment where embarrassment transformed into authenticity? For the first time in feminine, Alex spoke without a script. I guess I was nervous, sir. I wanted to seem clever, but I realized that wasn't fair. I wasn't thinking clearly. Trump nodded, admitting that takes courage. That's how real conversations begin. Suddenly, Alex felt a strange calm wash over him. The morning show, the live feed, the millions of viewers, they all seemed less intimidating. He realized that this could become more than an interview. It could become a lesson in humility and understanding. Episode 4, Turning Point. The studio fell into an unusual silence. Not the tense kind, but one filled with reflection. Alex adjusted his notes, but didn't speak immediately. He watched Trump's calm presence, noting the way he treated every person with a measured patience. Even when they faltered. People often fear judgment, Trump said softly. Especially on live television. But it's our response after the mistake if that defines us. Alex's mind raced. This was more than an interview. It was Allison. The anchor who had mocked his guest was being taught humility by thievery person he intended to ridicule. To see that now, Alex admitted. His voice was steadier than he expected. I often forget that there's a human being behind the headlines and policies. I let a nervous instinct take over. Trump nodded approvingly. And now you're accusing honesty. That's the moment people remember, not the mistake. They remember the courage to admit it. Across studio, the producer was quietly monitoring social media. The reaction was surprising. Comments shifted from mocking to admiring. Anchor owned up to mistake. Trump handled it like a pro. Real human moment on live TV. Alex felt a lump in his throat. The embarrassment had transformed into an opportunity, an inspiring, heartwarming moment that resonated far beyond the studio. He looked at Trump, searching for any hint of mockery, but found none, only patience. Only understanding, on live lesson, that everyone, anchor or president, was capable of growth if they embraced honesty. This is different than I expected, Alex admitted. I thought this interview would be a disaster, but now. Trump smiled gently. Now it's a story about learning. Alex, a story worth sharing. Episode 5, Lessons on Air. The cameras rolled as the interview shifted. Alex asked questions with renewed sincerity. The discussion, which had threatened to spiral into scandal, became one of insight and reflection. Trump spoke candidly about his challenges and decisions, but also about humility, resilience, and the value of learning from mistakes. Alex listened attentively, realizing this wasn't a political debate. It was a human story. I think people forget. Trump said that no matter who we are, we're all prone to errors. But it's how we respond, how we own up, and how we treat others afterward that defines us. Alex felt a profound shift. He had entered the interview with pride, prepared to critique, and now he was learning from the person he expected to ridicule. The irony wasn't lost on him. The social media storm continued, but its tone had changed. Viewers were no longer mocking. They were inspired. Hashtag shifted to hashtag honest moments. Hashtag leadership in action. Hashtag live ETV son. Alex realized that millions were witnessing more than an interview. They were witnessing accountability, grace, and the transformative power of honesty. He leaned closer to the microphone. Thank you, Mr. Trump, he said sincerely. I've learned something I won't forget. Trump smiled warmly. And thank you, Alex, for being brave and not to admit your mistake. That's all any office can do. Keep learning. The first commercial break came, but the energy in the studio had changed. The anchor who had mocked his guest was now inspired, and the audience felt it too. It wasn't about politics anymore. It was about human connection, understanding, and growth. The kind of story that leaves hearts full and minds reflective. Episode 6. A personal confession. After the commercial break, Alexa turned with a new approach. He decided to share a piece of his own life, something he rarely did on air. Before we continue, he began, voice steady, we want to be honest with our viewers. I often put on a confident front, but moments like this remind me that fear and nervousness can lead to mistakes. Trump listened intently, nodding. Alex paused, gathering courage. Earlier, I mocked you in private. It wasn't fair, but that mistake showed me something important. When we are honest and own,